Hello everyone, Pallytime here. Welcome back to Diablo. Hope you guys are doing well today. As always, I wanted to shake things up a bit and in this episode, show you guys how my characters turned out in the beta, but also give you some tips on leveling based off of what I've learned along the way. Basically, every moment I could play this game this weekend, I was in here cruising along, and I actually really enjoyed the rogue class in a way I never expected to like playing ARPGs. This was not calling out to me at all, but once I tried it, it was super fun. So my basic setup is to find a choke point like this where I want to fight some enemies. I can even dash into position with one of our abilities. I lay down a poison trap, lay down some caltrops to slow enemies inside of the poison, and basically these targets can never move and they'll just wither away and die. You can see those bats just barely stepped into that effect, and that was all they could take. But that's just the beginning. We can also imbue our weapon with shadow damage, causing an effect very similar to Exploding Palm from Diablo 3, which was, it's no secret, that was my favorite ability. And with a legendary I got, we can use Penetrating Shot to just eat through an entire screen of enemies at a time. Now, I'm going to go through all of my talents to show you how to replicate this. There is some legendary item requirements, but I'll show you what they are. And generally speaking, at least in the beta, these effects were not hard to come by at all, but drop rates may change as we advance into the game's lifespan. I'll also clear out this dungeon so you can see it all in action, or at least the highlights of it in action. So here's my talent tree that I've picked up and why it might be a little controversial as well. We'll get there in just a moment. For my generator, I decided to go with Heartseeker. As you fire more shots into a single target, it gives you increased critical hit damage. I thought that would be the main way that I'm taking down bosses, and we do have kind of a combo point system, so this is just a way for me to very quickly get combo points. I have enhanced Heartseeker, so I'll deal more damage to vulnerable targets, but I'm also getting an attack speed increase. And then primary Heartseeker, this causes my single target shot on my left click to actually ricochet to multiple targets as well. Basically, any chance I can get cleave, I wanted to get cleave. If we go down to the next tier, this is where we picked up Penetrating Shot. Truth be told, I was actually using Rapid Fire for a very long time, but when I got a specific legendary, it made Penetrating Shot just start popping off like crazy. So Penetrating Shot by default fires a bolt that goes through every enemy in a straight line. Because of this melee weapon, whenever Penetrating Shot damages an enemy, 2 additional arrows split off at their side, dealing 39% of Penetrating Shot's base damage. That is a very good roll. It only goes up to 40%, so 39 is pretty great. And the other bonuses of Penetrating Shot actually really benefit from that legendary effect as well. We deal 20% more damage per enemy that we pierce. We're piercing a ton of enemies like you saw earlier. We killed that entire group with a single shot. And then as we pierce at least 3 targets, we get a bigger critical hit chance. As we go to the next tier, I have 3 points in caltrops. Each point you add does increase the slow amount, and this is what I'm using to keep enemies locked in place. I also have the upgrade to make enemies take additional damage if they're inside that caltrop effect. It's a cornerstone of our strategy, so making enemies take more damage just seemed natural. It seemed like the right thing to do. I do have points in dash. I think you could totally skip this if you want to. The controversial thing I'm doing is I actually prefer using dash over these like ultimate choices that you can only pick one of down here, because dash just fits into the gameplay loop so good. There are pieces of gear that give you extra evade charges. This is your little spacebar dodge. I think if I had a few of those, I could eliminate the use of dash, but it's just so crazy good, and I'll show you why. I'll specifically target this and show you why I think it's worth holding on to, even with just 1 point in it. At the next tier, this is where we started to go ham. Poison Trap actually has 6 out of 5 level ups in it because of some gear that we have, increasing the potency of this Poison Trap even more. Then, of course, knockdown simply keeps people inside of the poison trap for longer. Caltrops also helps with that, slowing them down even after they get up. And we deal 10% increase to poisoned enemies. Everyone we're fighting is poisoned. Now, this one is really cool. Shadow imbuement. I don't want to get rid of this ever. This might be my favorite thing to tie this all together. Shadow imbuement basically gives me 2 shots with a spender that will allow me to radiate damage to everyone else. So let's go up to this next room. There's actually a lot of enemies in here. I could show you how this all works together. So I have their attention. I want to move back to my poison trap. Once they hit the poison trap, we'll lay some caltrops down, imbue our weapon, fire off 3 auto attacks, and then we basically blow everything up. The reason we want to fire off those 3 auto attacks is because of my rogue specialization. I have your basic skills now generate combo points, your core skills consume combo points. So we can basically supercharge our penetrating shot with our combo points by just attacking. You can see that above our bar here. But then expend not only the extra combo point damage, but imbue our weapon to expend even more damage in an AoE. It's actually such a crazy good synergy. It is so good. It's basically Exploding Palm. That's all my chat kept telling me. This is Exploding Palm and I need to take it. And I love Exploding Palm so much. You were right. You were right, chat. But I am foregoing Shadow Clone. I am foregoing Death Trap. And I am also foregoing Ray of Arrows. My issue with these is look at this cooldown. 58 seconds on Rain of Arrows. 48 seconds on Death Trap. And Shadow Clone is another 58 seconds. I simply don't want to wait that long to have big explosions across the screen. And with this setup, we don't have to. So let's start clearing out this dungeon. Let's start moving through this at real time so you can see how this actually plays. I'm going to be very aggressive. Just drop the poison trap here, dash through, and then right click. Right? Doesn't get much easier than that. Now, if you look at my combo points, you can see that I have big damage ready to go. So we poison trap, caltrops, imbue our weapon, and kill them. Attack again, so we get combo points, and then kill them too. We have a sealed door here, which likely means I just need to kill one more enemy. Yes, indeed, you have to be thorough. Next group of enemies that we're coming up to are going to meet a very similar fate, though. We have a Frost Elite here. I'm going to start things off by just putting poison down directly underneath them, charge up my combo points, and take them down before they can literally even move out of the poison. That's just so crazy efficient. Now, this particular dungeon does have us going after skeletal constructs in order to open the final gate. And as you can see, I can move through these areas totally freely with our dash. I could use my evade for some extra movement as well. But I pretty much can just choose when I want to stop and fight enemies. Very, very easy to basically fight on my own terms because of the amount of mobility that we have. Legendary sword! So for the constructs, as you hit these, it is going to spawn in a bunch of enemies. Some of these may be ranged, some of them might be melee, we don't know. But the construct is usually the hardest part of this to take down. But because we radiate so much damage, we're actually using the construct against them because we're basically exploding that instead of having to shoot the enemies. You may have noticed some of our kiting techniques. Basically, if an elite can reach me, that is a problem. But with all of these slows, they have to walk through that. We can dash through to the other side, just hang out here, let more of that poison stack up. Dash through to this side. By the time we're out of charges for our dash, we already have another layer of traps to lay down. And what do you know? Dash is back up before this guy could even hit me. We're so slippery, dude. Here we go. Finally made it to the boss door. I hope I didn't leave the key somewhere. I would be very sad. I hope the key's over here. We have 2 elites in this room. Let's see if they pose any threat to our build. Absolutely none whatsoever. It is so good. It is so strong. And there's our key. Looks like our boss might be a big arachnid. The Brood Guard. So the Brood Guard is going to be shooting out their own poison as well, which, as you can see, poison in this game just hurts. It doesn't matter who is sending it out. We'll try to get that poison placed, but as you can see, the boss has their own ideas about where they're going to move. I might be able to manipulate this a little bit, though. If I put a trap on this side of the pillar and then continue to line of sight, I might be able to bait the boss into fighting inside of my poison stacks.
Need more time.
Oh, if I don't get completely eliminated. All right, let's stop focusing on traps and just start focusing on our builder spender combo to get us through this. Because our primary deals increase crit damage as you continue to fire, we can actually do pretty good single target damage without the use of our traps. But now that ads have released, we'll just start to lay down the defenses and clear them out with no trouble at all. There is also another specialization you can use, and it might be better for situations like this. It's called Inner Sight. I can actually swap mid-fight and show this to you. Inner Sight allows me to kind of build up a buff. Hold on, let me kite away for a second. Blow these guys up. Build up a buff that then allows me to do free right clicks for a time. I basically have to target the marked enemy, which in our case is the boss. And this is a perfectly fine alternative to the combo points. It even works for this build just fine. I prefer the combo points because it allows me to blow up trash mobs faster. But I think in situations like this, you might be better off with the insight. The more we attack the Broodmother, the more of a charge we're going to get. It is taking a little while to fill up, though. Let me kite this way. We have new ads coming in. By the way, with the poison trap, you can have 4 of those down at a single time. So if you are the kind of player that likes to prepare for battle and kind of control an area, that is a possibility. Now our charge is almost done. Let me caltrop one more time. We are in that phase now, so I just want to right click as much as I can onto the boss. But as you can see, that moment does fade away quickly. That window is very small. We can use our dash to get to these potions. By the way, we are playing on the hardest difficulty available inside of the beta. And I wouldn't really say that my character has min-max gear in any capacity. I've just been kind of putting on what we can find along the way. So I feel like this is actually a pretty fair showcase. Let's keep dashing away from the ads. This web is making me vulnerable. We can have poison for the boss there and try to slow them down. Penetrating shot into that dealt a ton of damage. Trap here. Penetrating shot should melt them away. And now if I can just focus on boss, we should have a win here. So that's our Tramp Rogue. I think it's super fun. I enjoyed it so much more than I ever thought. Of course, there's nothing wrong with playing a melee rogue or a totally ranged focus rogue without the use of traps. Find your own path through Diablo. That's been the most fun part for me. If you guys enjoyed this showcase, make sure you press that thumbs up button. And I'll be back showing off some other classes very soon. I have to record so much in the next 3 hours.